Good evening, 49er faithful. Welcome to another episode of the Sneakerhead call-in show where members of the channel get to call in. Admittedly, this could be a short night, right? It is the last week before we start up training camp, and so we don't have additional storylines. But the big conflict is the reason I thought about changing the time of this call-in. There's an interview going on at the moment with Daniel Brunskill. I may have just lost a few viewers in advising people that is happening at this moment. But I'll be honest, that if I were watching, I might choose to watch that video. I would certainly am going back to watch that interview after it happens once I've wrapped this up. Very excited to kick this off regardless. As long as there are sneakerheads that want to call in, you can rest assured that I will be here. I'm here for the interaction. I'm here for the dialogue with members of the channel. We will make it happen, even if it ends up being a short show. I want to thank those that are here in the chat already. Kim coming in to say he's attending a concert tonight, going to call in next week. Appreciate that. We've got Treasure Kisses in the building who is going to be popping on down below. That is our first guest. We've got Jamie Bryant coming in to say hello as well. Raphael 5629ers, a sneakerhead here on the channel saying, what's up, Rob? Sneakerheads and everyone. Luke Walsh in the building saying hello to everybody. Dan Rostek, sneakerhead here on the channel saying good evening, everyone. I have the link up here. If you are a member of the channel, the link is in the chat. You just go to the page on my YouTube channel for community, the community tab, and on there is the link for StreamYard to get backstage. Guapiano is here. What's good, pimpin'? Do I have to be a sneakerhead to call in? For the sneakerhead call in, yes, indeed. It is video on, and it is intended to be for members of the channel only. Dirk Pippin is here for the vibes and to make fun of Jimmy haters. I think that the Jimmy haters, he does clarify just a little bit of making fun of Jimmy haters. It seems as if Jimmy's going to be around for a while. Bang, bang, Niner gang here saying bang, bang, we in this thing. Fabled JVC. Hey, Rob. Hey, everybody. And Jamie Bryant clarifying, Rob Schuh ready for some Niner football. Can't wait for the season to start. Neither can I. I am ready for fresh content, video of the Niners at practice. I'm still going to try and make it out to those practices that are happening in Minneapolis. I'm adding syllables here. Yes, Minnesota. Gonna head out there. Memphis man in the building. Memphis, Maine. Rob, giving the symbol. Yes. All right. Milwaukee 49er 414 has a very important question. How do I become a member? For those that want to call in, very easy. Once you subscribe to the channel, that button that says subscribe on it changes to join. When you hit join, there are levels of membership that you can decide from in becoming a sneakerhead. I have heard that it is difficult to accomplish on an iPhone, much easier on desktop or on an Android. But yes, absolutely possible by hitting that join button. Robert Davis coming in to say it's Trey time, faithful. All right, I am bringing on Treasure here. If you've got any questions that you want to bring out here, yes, Dirk and I are going to coin the term Minneapolis. It sounds great. It has a particular ring to it, far better than Minneapolis ever did. So it's been renamed. We will get started here with Treasure coming into the stream. Treasure, how are you doing?
How you doing there, Rob?
I am doing fantastic. How about yourself? Are you having a good day so far? Are you in the Bay Area? I don't recall if I asked you that the last time that you were on.
I am.
Very nice. How's the weather out there in the Bay? I'm up in Portland, so it's hot up here, but I wasn't sure if you guys are going through a heat wave too.
It's like 95 here.
Ooh, yeah, it's cooking. It's cooking a little bit.
It's really cooking. Put some eggs on the concrete and let's see it cook.
Yes, indeed. All right. So you had emailed me a couple of these questions, and I wanted to just do them live, right? Let's talk through them right now. If I remember correctly, one of your first suggestions was around trying to acquire Jesse Bates from the Bengals. Is that correct?
Correct.
And so are you just intrigued by Jesse as an opportunity to bring in a quality safety, pair him next to Jimmy Ward, and have a better duo than what we're currently working with?
Yes. I I have more confidence in that team than what we currently have.
Yeah. And, I mean, I can't blame you for that. I think in the trade, you suggested maybe Tarvarius Moore, including him in the trade. I do think that you might have to throw in a draft pick in addition to that. I mean, Jesse Bates is now going to play on the franchise tag. So I don't know that it's out of the question that the Bengals might actually move him because they've been unable to negotiate to this point. So it could be that they'd be willing to trade him away. But I think a straight up trade would be out of the question for Tarvarius Moore. You would probably have to sweeten that somehow. You would have to add in a draft pick. I wouldn't be opposed to it, but I think the Niners are really headed with Talanoa Hufanga at that safety spot. They seem to really like Huff and trust him to win that spot going into camp.
And I thought Huff was an excellent special teamer, and I think he's an excellent player, and I'm sure he's an excellent human being. But he's still kind of like, or at least for me, still fresh off the press, if you get what I'm saying.
Yeah, right. You don't have enough tape on him yet, right? You don't know for sure that he'll be able to step into that safety role and really hold it down like Tart did.
Exactly right.
Yeah, but that makes sense.
No disrespect to him. I mean, I'm sure he's great and all, but there's, like you said, there's not enough tape. I mean,
it is a leap of faith. And there seem to be a couple of leaps of faith that the 49ers are asking us as fans to make this year. Jake Brendel at center, they seem very confident in moving forward with an inexperienced gentleman there in Aaron Banks at left guard, again, inexperienced. And they're asking us to sort of have faith that those players are going to be able to step in. It seems you may be a little skeptical there.
Actually, when it comes to those particular players, I'm not going to say that I want to give them an opportunity, but I'm skeptical.
Yes, and that's fair. It is fair to have some skepticism there, for sure. I got some comments that are talking to me, so I want to bring those in as we continue to work through your questions. Sure. Josh Cook comes in to say, Rob Schuh, I, for one, cannot wait for the Trey era to begin. Best of luck to Jimmy in the future, though. I like this sentiment on both counts. I wish Jimmy nothing but the best. Right. I do want to move on. I want him to have success wherever he goes. He certainly added value to this franchise, but I am also very ready for Trey to take over as QB1. Are you also excited for the Trey era to begin in the Bay Area?
So I really do, all the confidence in the world, but I want Jimmy to be gone, and I wish him the best, and I'm sorry, it's just time to play the kid.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Okay, you had a couple of other questions as well, and one was, I hadn't actually thought of it. I wasn't actually familiar with the player, but what were the other questions that were on your mind, Treasure?
I even have one. I have this question too.
Go ahead. Sure. Hit me with it.
So I want the best for Jimmy, and I wouldn't mind him coming back.
Sure.
On one condition.
Okay.
If he is willing, notice I said willing.
Sure.
To take a pay cut down to $15 million.
Okay.
To be Trey Lance's backup over Nate Sudfeld, because I just don't trust Nate Sudfeld to save my life.
Yeah, I don't blame you for that. Again, we're talking about someone who has very limited snaps there. I don't mind the idea of keeping Jimmy around as a backup. It is messy. It is emotionally messy within the locker room. It's fraught with peril, no doubt about it. It comes with some risk. But the Niners are a better team when they have a good backup quarterback, and I absolutely believe Jimmy Garoppolo is capable of being a good backup quarterback. $15 million seems a little bit rich for me in how much I would like to pay a backup quarterback, but I like the sentiment. I would be willing to keep him around as a backup. I would probably push for a lower salary, more in the neighborhood of $10 million would be my personal comfort zone there.
So with that, I would say anywhere from 10 to 15, I'm okay with, for Jimmy as a backup,
Yeah,
because at least we know he wins games,
he
unlike
does.
Nate Sudfeld. But I would take it one step further.
Okay.
I would go to the USFL. I don't know if you've watched.
I haven't, but I did some research on this after you brought it up. So please continue.
The USFL, I know, is just getting started and it's fresh. Like I said, it's still fresh off the press. But I think there are some real talented and educated players on the USFL. Like, for instance, Cooks Us.
Yes.
He would be, he was so awesome in the USFL. And I don't see why not bringing him behind Trey Lance.
Yeah, so this is for anyone that doesn't know, because I didn't know until I looked it up. This is the USFL, one of the quarterbacks that was just in the championship that took place recently, Case Cookus. Case Cookus is his name.
Right.
Like he cooks us. That is
Yes.
Cookus.
Yes.
And I mean, the only issue is that in that championship game, he did suffer a broken leg. So he's healing from injury at the moment, needs a little bit to recover from that. The storyline was he broke his leg and then was getting married 11 days later. So now he's showing up to his wedding with a broken leg. Apparently, during the game, he got hit hard and checked his teeth because he said, my fiance would kill me if I did anything to my smile right before getting married and the wedding pictures. So, I don't know enough about Case Cookus to have an opinion as to whether he could come in, learn the system, and be an effective backup. But what I like here is this idea of creativity in bringing in someone outside the box thinking, because you look back and Daniel Brunskill came from that other defunct football league that was out there. So you absolutely can find these gems in the rough by looking at players that have made it in some other league.
And I really think that Cookus is a gem, like a diamond in the rough, Yeah. But now when it comes down to the running backs, this is just my personal opinion. I think it's Elijah Mitchell. I think I would even go so far as Jermichael Hasty or Jeff Wilson to be in one of those 6 people.
Right.
But I don't know if I would really trust TDP. I don't know enough about him, so I'm not going to say he's not going to make it, but I don't know enough about him.
Yeah, that's fair. Again, we got to see these guys in training camp. That's why when practice starts on Tuesday, I know at least the veterans get there on the 26th. It is going to be so critical. We're going to get so much information about so many of these young players that are coming out. Nobody really knows until the pads go on. Nobody can really adequately judge these rookie running backs. And, Jack Hammer of the Santa Rosa Press Democrat has certainly brought Jordan Mason to our attention, the undrafted free agent rookie running back that's going to be out there as well. So I would keep my eye on him and TDP, both of them through these practices. Going to be very important.
Also, my next question is this. I would love at some point or another to actually meet you in person.
Yeah.
So I was wondering, how often do you come to the Bay Area and hang out with the Niner Empire, the Niner gang? I mean,
I try to make it out to every game there in the Bay that I can, but I'm going on a mission to see all of the stadiums in the U.S. And so I'm a little over halfway through. I've been to more than half of the stadiums, but still have a fair number to tackle. So I try to go to road games more than I do home games because I got to fly down to the Bay Area, even if I want to go to Santa Clara. So right. I would say that on average, I probably go to 1, maybe 2 games a year in Santa Clara. Certainly, if we make the playoffs, I will be there, and absolutely up for getting there early, meeting in the parking lot, celebrating the game before we go in to watch the Niners claim a victory. I would absolutely be up for that.
And it not necessarily has to be a 49er game that we meet. I mean, you seem like an intelligent guy. You seem like a level-headed guy. and I still think you should be on Mount Rushmore, to be honest. But I just feel like you are the man, and you bring some of the best content, and I really love what you bring to the table and your Niners knowledge. But I've subscribed. There were times that I subscribed to Grant, and he really doesn't pay attention to me, but I don't know why. But I really don't subscribe to him anymore because of that.
Sure.
I'm not saying that he's a bad guy or whatever.
No, he's a busy guy. He's got a lot of subscribers, so it's hard for him to, give individual attention. But I really appreciate the compliments. I mean, that means a great deal. I appreciate the support, absolutely do. I look forward to, at some point in time, getting the opportunity to meet. I don't find myself in the Bay Area all that often, save for the 49ers games, but we will definitely make that happen.
Because I would love to meet you, and I would love for you to meet my partner, my life, my everything. Because you've seen her on the phone, but
I did. I saw her last time you called in.
Yes, and I would love the chance to like see you in person. But like, oh, that's the Rob Schuh that is the man right there that is meant to be on Mount Rushmore.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that, Treasure.
I really love this communication between the two of us, and I think this is really awesome. And I'm really, really, really excited about the 49ers training camp and season to start.
Me too. Hey, next week we will have actual practices to talk about next week. It'll be fantastic.
I'm just not too excited about. I'm excited if Jimmy is the backup.
Yeah.
But the starter.
I feel the same way. Treasure, I really appreciate the phone call. I'm going to hit down. I got Bullpup 33 waiting down there in the waiting room. Love the conversation. Thank you so much for calling in today.
And I would love to do this again with you.
Absolutely. We will make that happen. All right, Treasure. Have a good afternoon. Enjoy the heat out there. Don't get too hot. All right. Take care. All right. That was awesome. Appreciate that, Treasure. Just want to get to a couple of comments here before we bring in Bullpup 33. We've got Chris Royal coming in with the super chat talking about Jimmy Garoppolo. I mentioned, Treasure threw it out there. Hey, he'd be okay with sticking with Jimmy Garoppolo as the backup for $15 million. A little rich for my blood. I'd cap out at about 10. Chris is here in a similar ballpark, saying 8 to 10 million max as far as keeping him as a backup. But all the drama is just too much. I would just move on. I can't fault that. I cannot fault the idea of simply moving on. Robert Davis says not worth 15 mil. I like Jimmy, but he ain't worth 15 million. The league has set his worth as lower than that. Ellis 10 coming in to say what's up, Sneakerhead here on the channel. Fable JVC came in to ask, hey, is Cookus a real name, or is that like he hate me back in the XFL? I don't think it's he hate me. I think it is actually Case Cookus is his last name. And yes, I think we had someone confirming that. Nice one is confirming that as well. All right, we are going to bring in Bullpup 33 to the program. How are you doing this fine afternoon?
Rob, long time no see. How you doing, man?
I am doing real well. Excited for the fact that we are nearly through this year's dead period, and from there on out, it is smooth sailing.
You guys brought up Jimmy, and you guys also brought up running backs, that all the young running backs we have. So John Madden used to say one of the smallest learning curves from college to the NFL was running back.
That's interesting.
He said, if you can run, you can run.
Yeah, that makes sense. Like, you're running to daylight. Sure, are there different schemes? Are there different holes that you need to be able to hit? Certainly, but the gaps are the same, and you are running to daylight. You're running away from people trying to kill you. That is it. I could see why that would be easy to translate.
So with that in mind, I've always thought that if you bring in a running back and he doesn't pan out, like you said, there is that scheme, that does come into play.
Right.
The reason I bring it up is because people are questioning, TDP. I'm still wondering what's going to happen with our ex-Ohio State star we drafted from that's. I mean, I looked at him. I looked at him in training camp. I looked at him last year. I just don't see it. I really don't. I know they're going to try to give him all the opportunity possible to succeed. But I always keep going back to what Madden said. If you can run, you can run.
Yeah. And that didn't come through last year, right? I mean, do you see this as something where the Niners could move on relatively quickly?
I would.
Admit
they have
your
to.
Mistakes and move on?
Yeah, they have to give him all the chance to succeed. It's going to be one of those. He needs to have a really good preseason.
Yes. He's got to earn his roster spot, that it shouldn't just be given at this point. Because you're right. I mean, you're talking about, potentially Jordan Mason coming in and showing something, and thus it being a battle between he and Jeff Wilson Jr. to make that cut. You can't just give a spot to Trey Sermon simply because you used a high draft pick on him last year.
No, and fortunately, the Niners are, as an organization, good enough right now that they don't have to hold on to someone just because they drafted him high.
Right. It is a talented roster. It really is. Top to bottom, it is a very deep roster.
Yeah, I'm still a little concerned with Aaron Banks, to be perfectly honest. But we've got to wait and see on that one.
Right. Do you take any optimism from the idea that he's moving back to his more natural position, the one that he played at Notre Dame, and that left guard may somehow be an easier transition, going back to that idea of transitioning from college to the pros, that sticking with the left side might be easier for him?
I think that's a factor. Also, let's not forget that the speed of the game in the NFL is definitely much higher than that is in college. Right. The violence and the speed, especially down in the trenches. So maybe because a lot of time you'll have guys who come out that just have the raw talent, but it takes him a little bit to adjust to the NFL game.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there is now a marked difference in his appearance. It does seem as if he has slimmed down. It is a bit more lean as far as his muscle goes. Maybe that plays a factor as well. I'm hesitant to draw any conclusions because we saw so little last year. And then there was that brief breath of optimism as Coach Shanahan said, yeah, we were thinking about making the switch. And then we started rolling. And at that point, I wasn't going to mess with what was working. So it could have happened. He could have gotten his shot at right guard last year, but it worked out the way in which it did.
Well, unfortunately, that's something we don't get to see. That's something that you can only see in person or in tape.
Right.
But going back to TDP, I definitely think just judging by, his tape, judging by what he's going to be asked to do, I definitely see him as the second half closer.
Yeah, a bigger bodied back, right? Going to be able to bruise defenses, wear them down over the course of the game.
I definitely see him as a second half running back. Trey likes to check down. He's checked down his entire college career, as short as that was. So I'm sure he's working on catching. I heard he's getting better and he's made some nice catches. I don't know if anyone's seen him. So I think he's going to pan out. I really do. I think he's not going to be a Joe Williams. I don't think he's going to be, that guy. Yeah. I honestly think, or a Trey Sermon. I think TDP has a much better chance of succeeding. SEC likes to run the rock. Put him in the fourth quarter. Let him get those tough yards. Get those first down. Let's close out the games. Yes. That's where I see him. If it turns out different, I'll be surprised.
And I mean, if we hit the home run on TDP, if he comes in and he is able to get the bulk of the carries, wear down defenses over the course of the game, be that heavier back that takes the goal line carries, I see him as potentially, having that Tevin Coleman sort of a role where he is the softener. He is charging into the teeth of the defense repeatedly and battering down that defensive line and those linebackers, tiring them out towards the end of the game. If we hit that home run on TDP, that in combination with having gotten a score in the 6th round last year, it would almost make you forget about the big miss on Trey Sermon if that is what it ends up being, if he never, comes forth and really claims a role within this offense. You hit on the other two, that doesn't matter so much.
Yeah, that's I mean, and like I said, luckily this organization and this roster is to the point where they can say, all right, yeah, we screwed up, let's move on.
Yeah. Right.
That's big. That is really big. They don't have to hang on to them for 2-3 years, hoping he develops, justifying the pick. No. Nowadays, you're in the Niners. Okay, come in, you can play, great, suit up, get going. You can't, we'll try somebody else.
Too many quality guys at the end of the Niners roster. I mean, in this case, you would be cutting, either Jordan Mason, who could be a promising up and coming rookie, or Jeff Wilson Jr. Or, I mean, some people might have JaMychal Hasty in there as well. I see that as already being on the fringe there. But yeah, I think that you've got to examine the fact that you're not just holding a roster spot for someone with potential. You're bumping someone off the roster who also might have potential because of the depth of this thing. I want to bring in a couple of comments here while we're talking before we get to your next topic as well, or what you have on your mind. Dirk Pippen comes in to say, your new center better be able to handle the pressure, doubling down, saying, I mean, that's where I would send everyone. And this is a focus for me, but I know people have different opinions on the readiness level of Jake Brendel. And I saw the response from Rich Ryan, which I think encapsulates what some people believe, which is, hey, I'm taking Chris Forster at his word here. He gives me, confidence that Jake Brendel is going to be able to come in and claim that starting center position. Rich Ryan saying, I think the center position will be just fine. Everyone overreacting on that one. Until we see it, I don't know that it can be labeled an overreaction. It feels like we have to confirm what we've been told. Is that how you're feeling at this moment in time, or are you doubtful about that particular position?
No, I mean, it's only logical, man, that, we got to see it. It's not like you're moving Jesse Sapolo from guard to center. No, right. You're moving who? What? Where did this come from? So we got to see it. He's a bit of a journeyman.
He's been around the league on a few different teams, and no one said to themselves, we need to lock this guy down. So it's not a no-brainer that he's just going to step in and be capable.
No, not at all. Not at all. I was never really in love with, what was the name of that guy that they brought in early on that was a former second-round pick from the Giants?
Richburg.
I was never a big fan of Richburg, to be honest. To me, they kind of overpaid for that position at that point.
It did feel like a huge overpay at the moment. Like his salary, his past hadn't dictated that he would be a top, paid free agent. And then his salary was exactly that. It was like, dude, this must be the most elite center out there. And people were like, wait, he's kind of a center, but like he didn't start out there. It felt like a wild overpay. Maybe there was another suitor out there. Maybe the Niners had to do that in order to get him on board. Obviously, the injuries derailed his career with San Francisco. When he was healthy, I would say he was good, but never really showed anything to make Weston Richburg as highly paid as he was.
No, not at all. So, and lastly, I guess the real big question is, and I hate to bring this up, but with the doubts that we have of center, safety, even running back, even though we have a deep roster, there's still questions.
Definitely.
Right? Corners, we have a deep roster, but there's still questions.
Yep.
We have quarterbacks, but there's still questions.
Yeah. I mean, you might say once we get rid of Jimmy, we have a quarterback. I don't mean to throw shade at Nate Sudfeld. I go back to this idea of an unproven commodity with Nate Sudfeld, and just don't have much faith that he can win us a whole lot of games if he's relied upon to do so.
No. So the real question, the elephant in the room is this really a reloading year or a rebuilding year?
That's fascinating. I mean, I would have to say my gut reaction is this roster is far too talented for me to label it as a rebuilding year. But a shifting quarterback alone, the simple fact that you're going from one starting quarterback to another until you can confirm what you believe about that quarterback. I believe Trey Lance to be a qualified quarterback. I believe he will have success in this league. I also acknowledge that it could be a bumpy road to start. And so just in that, I mean, I go back to what I've been saying about this team throughout the free agency, throughout the offseason. Feels a little bit like the Niners hedged their bet just a tad, held back some of their resources so that they can invest them once they see what they have with this team. So to me, that again speaks to this idea that it is a bit of a reloading. It is a question of, well, we've plugged in some new people at these positions. We got to find out what we have there before we can accurately say that we are again competing for a Super Bowl.
Yeah, because when we went to Steve Young, from Montana to Young, it was, okay, we're supposed to win the Super Bowl.
Right.
And, we have Steve Young. But we knew what Steve Young was.
We did. We had seen him for some extended action by that point.
Everyone was behind Steve Young. There was the rift between
not
Montana
everyone
camp.
was behind him. As a child, I was staunchly in Joe's corner. I thought we were betraying Joe. I was an emotional child.
But I guess the word behind what I was trying to say was, yeah, you didn't want to see Joe go, but ultimately you were going to be rooting for Steve to win. Definitely. To make it happen.
Definitely.
So but the problem with Trey is that we just don't have enough of him. We've seen glimpses of hope. We've seen things that we like, things that we don't like, but it's expected for someone who's just coming into the league.
Yeah.
Like I said, a long time ago, when I called in, I said, he's in the best position ever because he's in his college years, quote, quote, he's actually spending them in the NFL.
Right.
So
he's getting his education here in San Francisco.
He's getting OJT, baby. He's getting OJT.
On
nothing
the
in
job
theory.
Training.
He's getting OJT, and he's going to the School of Hard Knocks. So
yes, he is.
I think that's going to serve him well, and I truly believe. I don't know, but he's got that little twinkle in his eye, that little smirk that gives me shades of, the great one, MJ, that the little chip on his shoulder that you need to really take it to the next level.
Yeah, you do need that chip. You do. I also want to bring in Chris Royal with the super chat here, also talking about Lance, relevant to the conversation. Says Lance is going to help increase the production of our backs. His play action and bootleg abilities will freeze defenses up enough to hit big runs outside. I think both Lance and our wildly successful, at least in historic years, run game will complement one another. That feels like a perfect marriage for a young quarterback coming in with his first full season of starts, to have an extremely solid defense. I've made my prediction that we're going to have a top 3 defense with all the talent that we have there. A should be vastly improved special teams where we're at least middle of the pack in special teams, and an elite run game with some proven pieces in there and some new investments as well. Plenty of skill position players to go around. I mean, there are certainly some question marks. Offensive line is one that remains for me, but I think Lance helps the run game, and the run game will help Lance.
Well, blocking is kind of like tackling, and that they're both a function of will.
That's a great point. It absolutely takes the will to do it. And I mean, I don't doubt that we have quality depth along the offensive line, and I don't have considerable fears. I am optimistic that this line will gel early, that it will be the original 5 that have been laid out, where it's Trent Williams, Aaron Banks, Jake Brendel at center, Daniel Brunskill at right guard, and Mike McGlinchey at right tackle. And if that's the layout of the line, I'm not terribly concerned with it. I feel pretty comfortable with that particular starting five as long as they claim it early on in camp.
Well, let's just hope they gel. We know that offensive line is what makes the football teams go, right? The D line on defense and O line on offense. So
CJ Gray, Sneakerhead here on the channel coming in, talking about the offensive line, saying, I don't think the young guys have to be great on the line. They just have to be serviceable. I would take that in particular if they are serviceable in the run blocking. If they can get the run game going, I don't doubt that Trey Lance with his legs can evade some sacks and get outside and take some deep shots.
Yeah, he's going to have to learn when to pick his runs. Because if you guys remember, he runs, he moves out of the pocket to go deep. He looks down. He's looking downfield when he moves out of the pocket.
Right.
And he's going to have to learn to sometimes just take that first down and live for another set of downs.
Yeah, I was a little bit surprised at the running ability. I think maybe that was a case of, the game's still moving fast for him in those 2 starts that he had last year. I would like to see him on the designed runs or on the scrambles, picking up those first downs a little bit easier. Like, it just seemed that he would be able to, based on what I saw on his college film. Didn't seem to translate just yet. So that feels like an area he certainly can improve.
And he will. Like I said, it's just the game is going to slow down. The game is going to come to him. There's no doubt it's going to improve. He's definitely going to improve. Same thing with all the young guys we have. And one last point before you let me go. I think what they see in Huff is something that you really can't teach, and that's instincts.
Yeah, he does have those. And
instincts is like speed. You can't teach that. Either you have it or you don't. So
yeah, that's fair.
He's got it. He's got those instincts. He knows, the great ones know what they're trying to do to you and then make up for it. Put themselves in a position to make a play. That's why with Ronnie Lott, you can never go deep on him, and he was always making a tackle 4 yards away from the line of scrimmage.
Yeah. Ronnie was a beast. An absolute beast.
All the great ones like Ed Reed and all the good ones have always had that instinct. You just can't teach that.
You can't. It's an intangible. I agree. You either have instincts or you don't. I think instincts can be muddied up when you're young and when the game is moving too fast for you. You can fail to use those instincts, so they might not show through early in someone's career. But I still think they either have it or they don't.
I think Huff is. I think he's got it. I've seen in SC he had it. Even with the limited amount of play, he showed us that he's got something. He's not the most gifted athlete, obviously, but he definitely had that extra something that he brings to the table.
He does have that something extra. I'm excited to see it. And I don't think it will show up until we are into preseason games, into regular season games. Maybe we'll see it flash at practice, but I feel like that's the kind of thing you see in game tape.
Yeah, that's he is kind of like Jeff Garcia. Wasn't a good practice quarterback, but he was a gamer.
He was a gamer, right?
Yeah, I see Huff the exact same way. He's a gamer. He takes it to a next level. When he sees the opposite jersey.
I like it. I like the prediction, Bullpup 33. Fantastic.
All right, Rob.
Hey, a pleasure talking with you always.
All right, man. Take care.
Hey, you too. All right, take care. All right, we're bringing in Sean 9519ers to the program. Just want to get to a couple of comments before I do. Dustin Kohler in the house saying, Rob, the bar's pretty high. He's talking about Jimmy Garoppolo. A little side note, Dustin Kohler kind of likes Jimmy Garoppolo as a quarterback. And I can't fault him for that. Jimmy's a pretty capable quarterback. I do think it's time to move on. He says, bar set pretty high. Will the vitriol be as high if Lance doesn't make the Super Bowl or the NFC Championship in the next 2 to 3 years? Will excuses be made? I mean, I've set up the excuses beforehand because I think I have realistic expectations for a young quarterback who may struggle early on. But when you're talking about the quality of this roster, if they do not make it back to a deep playoff run in the next 2 to 3 years, I think it will be fair to criticize the move. I think it will be fair to ask some questions of this front office as to whether it was the appropriate decision to make at that point. And I believe there are those out there who are saying, hey, listen, like, I'm not against Trey Lance at all, but if you have an opportunity to keep Jimmy, the reason you do it is because this window is currently open. If you can afford to keep him, maybe you think about it. And when you hear someone like Steve Young throwing that out there, you just can't write it off as crazy, right? These are rational people suggesting this. All right, got to celebrate a new member coming in. Josh Cook is the newest member of the Sneakerhead community. Josh, welcome to the channel. Appreciate that. And we got 49ers First Takes with the Super Chat coming through to support my friend. Love all you do for the 49ers YouTube community. That is Aaron with 49ers First Takes, and I absolutely appreciate that, Aaron. Thank you for coming in to say what's up and show some support. All right, we are bringing in Sean 951 Niners to the program. Sean, man, you've been traveling lately, but I can see you're back at home. How are you doing, my friend?
I'm good. I'm back at home for 2 hours, and then I'll be off to Arizona tonight.
Man, traveling again. Hey, that's a life. That's all right, man. What do you think of what's been going down this week? A little bit of news breaking. Feels like preparatory news for next week's action. Like, this is teeing up. We had the 49ers seeming to come out with their angle on it. Jimmy's camp came out with their angle on it. Seems to be two different agendas. Maybe one would rather be released and the other still really wants to find a trade partner. What's your take on this situation right now? Do you think it spills into mid-August, as Ian Rappaport has now reported?
Well, we're about to find out, what his real value is, because now his camp gets to go figure out if there's a trade partner out there. So we'll see what Mr. Yee finds out, because if everyone wants to know the truth about, a couple months back when Lynch had 2-2 supposedly, right?
Right.
So we're about to find out if there's anyone out there who wants to give up anything. So if there is, Yee's going to get it.
You would think so. I mean, we could take anything at this point.
The only way he wouldn't is if he does some backhanded little gentleman's agreement of, hey, guys, he's going to be released no matter what. The only thing that's going to hurt is I won't be able to put him on the field to learn your playbook over the next month.
Right.
So
you got to trade for him now if you want him to be able to start week one.
That's the only real leverage the Niners are going to have, right? If somebody wants – or they're counting on another team to say, hey, I need QB in at training camp so we can get at least a month in, a few games, and then hit the ground running for whoever's fan base that is, to show them that they're going after. Because he's not going to a good team. He's going to go to somebody who sucks.
No, somebody who doesn't have a quarterback right now, right? Like, they're not in good shape.
And the only team that won't trade for him just out of spite would be Seattle. They're going to count on a cut. So yeah. And the Niners don't want him to go to Seattle.
Right. If talking about spite, the Niners might also not trade out of spite, right? There is definitely spite going both ways in that relationship.
Yeah. So, I mean, to me, hopefully he goes to East Coast somewhere, to just somebody irrelevant so they stay that way.
Yeah.
But we'll see. I mean, that's really what it's going to come down to. Now it's just business. One side has their business plan, the other side has their business plan, and then the player's like, I just want to play.
Yeah.
So he's
we
either
just want no drama.
Yeah, he's going to wait till week one to have a team, because there's 5 or 6 teams that will sign him in a jiffy.
Yes.
It won't be for the same money. But the one thing I think Yee's going to have working against him is a team's going to have to give up, a lot and eat his salary. Oh, good luck for that, Yee. I think a cut's coming unless somebody is majorly desperate that we don't know about.
Unless somebody's majorly desperate, or Jimmy's majorly desperate to get a trade done for some reason. I don't know that I could suss out what that reason would be, but if he were inclined to eat a large percentage of his own salary, that would make it far more palatable for most of these teams. Because I agree, that would be the sticking point for most, is $24 million. That is a lot of money to take on for a quarterback that doesn't feel like a long-term solution for most of these teams.
And I agree. I think Yee will probably tell Jimmy, hey, bud, there's no more $7 million injury deal. You've been cleared, so that's done. Right. So San Fran's already told us, because San Fran's probably told him, hey, you're not going to be on this team for $1.50. Like, we're just
Right.
not going to do it. It doesn't matter. Trey's quarterback. We got Sudfeld. It's done. So either worst case scenario for your client, he's going to have to go in at week 1, sign with somebody, and now he's already way behind. He's probably going to lose half a season.
Yeah.
Or two, go ahead and figure it out. Take a big salary dump. Doesn't matter to us, but what are we getting in return to the Niners? Well, we'll take anything, I think, at this point for him, as long as he goes to a team that is irrelevant to us.
Right.
Then I think we'll take some asset back. But outside of that, it's just going to be, what Jimmy's willing to eat, and does he like where the options he has to where he's going to go? Because if he wants to stay in the NFL, he only has a few teams that are probably calling for him.
That's right. And even if he ends up getting cut, that list only grows by a few more teams. I mean, the vast majority of teams in the NFL are pretty well set at this point in time when it comes to their quarterback room. And so he can't really be, choosy about that destination. He can have a preference, but I think he's got to be open to those teams that are going to come calling, because it is a short list. I want to bring this in because I saw what question about it earlier and didn't get to it, but G-Bone Patron brought this in. Wasn't sure if it was G-Bone that brought it in earlier. Talking about, what do you think about the Robert Kimdichie signing? Good vibes like always. Thank you for the good vibes. Appreciate that. I was saying this on the program with Randon yesterday, that initially I got excited by the signing because my brain went back to his first round pedigree, the excitement that I used to work with a friend that was, I still am friends with him. He is an Arizona Cardinals fan. And so he was hyping up the pick, right? I mean, as we all do when that pick was made that year. Oh, it's a great pick. Super athletic guy coming out of high school, was a 5-star recruit. So there's a lot of talent there. But then I quickly looked up the stats, refreshed my memory that, oh, yes, he's had an injury-plagued career. He has been suspended. He's not played a whole lot, and he's not been productive overall. So it still is true that the first-round talent is there. And could it be unlocked? Absolutely. You have prior examples of Chris Kosarek being able to work his magic with people who have physical gifts, a certain physical prowess, and it seems that Robert Kimdichie possesses those traits. It seems like a low risk, high reward type of a move where when the contract details come out, it's almost assuredly going to be for a league minimum deal, which won't count against the 49ers cap. And if they were to release him, if he doesn't make the 53-man roster, will not count against the cap negatively in that respect either. So if he plays good enough to make it, great. If not, sort of becomes a no news story at that point. Were you excited when you saw the news break? Or did this feel like a camp body to you, Sean?
I mean, I wasn't excited. I'm excited about who we already got, but I would say this is another feather in the cap of Kosarek, right? I think these guys like him are like, you know what? If I'm going to go anywhere, I'm going to go to that coach on that team with that defense, because if I actually am able to pull the talent out with a Bosa next to me or with an Armstead next to me and others. If I'm able to do that, then I know I belong in this league and I can get paid. Because if he just keeps staying on teams that have below average D lines, unless you're a stud, you don't stand out. So you need studs around you. Hence, I'm sure who talked to him was probably Kerry Hyder.
Right.
I'm sure Kerry Hyder said, dude, bro, I'm going back to SF. Like, dude,
I was there. I killed it. I went away. It wasn't so great. I'm going back.
And I'm sure he told him the truth, which was, I mean, I don't know if it's the truth, but I'm sure he told him, this ain't the same coaching over there as they do in SF. The sure as hell ain't the defensive ranking I had over there in SF. That was a lot more fun over there in SF. Hey, man, come to SF. You're a baller, in his opinion. You're a baller. Come over here and show it. Kosarek will put you in the right positions to succeed, a good strength program, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. You'll be with Bosa. You can go against Trent Williams. If you want to sharpen iron, come on, bring it on over here. If it doesn't work, then guess what? You're like 90% of anyone who goes to the NFL. You're going to fizzle in a few years. But so to me, diamond in the rough for pennies on the dollar. That's how I look at it.
Yes, I couldn't agree more. I mean, it may turn out to be nothing. This could be one of those storylines where, hey, it doesn't matriculate down the road. But look at the Arden Key signing. That was a very similar circumstance. Someone who had the ability. Did it take him a little while to get acclimated to the system? Was he far better down the second half of the season than the first? Absolutely. Could that be another case here? Yes, I think that it could. And You just got to hope that he's able to stay healthy. I always feel bad for the types of players who have never been able to catch on, but have been consistently getting injured throughout their careers. Got to make it that much harder to pick up the scheme. You're not getting practice reps. You fall down the roster. Now you've got to earn your way back up it. I can only imagine how challenging that is on top of just trying to make it in the NFL.
To me, it's all about what type of injuries it is, though.
Yeah.
Like if they're the injuries that are lack of preparation in the offseason because you're popping bottles and having a great time on online, that's different. If they're injuries that is, ACL tear or something on a great effort play like Bosa's tear, or Solomon Thomas's tear when he had it, no one clowned on their effort on the play, just unlucky.
Right.
But if they're injuries like Debo in 2020, where every injury is an injury he never had last season because he finally put himself in an offseason program, which he's trying to show us now as well while he's prepping himself for the season. Great. Sure. So it depends on how a guy's injured, what type of injuries those are. But I agree with you, of course. I mean, if a guy's going to work his whole life to get to this point in his career, and then you don't have the ability to perform because your body's not letting you, that sucks when your brain has more power than the rest of your body. That's a bummer.
Yeah. It absolutely is. I did want to point out, I meant to call this out earlier, but yes, there was a signing today by the Browns at quarterback. They worked out both Josh Rosen and A.J. McCarron, and then ended up signing Josh Rosen. So I don't know that actually means anything for the 49ers situation. There had been reports recently that the Browns were not one of the teams that were actively involved in reaching out to the 49ers. I mean, they may have their eyes set on Jacoby Brissett as a completely acceptable backup option to them if they had Josh Rosen behind him. But you could go conspiracy theory here as well, right? I mean, Josh Rosen is familiar with Shanahan's system. Are they already picking his brain about that system so they can incorporate things so that they can teach Jimmy when they bring him on board, and Rosen will back up Jimmy and they'll trade Brissett to San Francisco so that we have a better back? Like, you can get into these conspiracy theories. It's why I'm not going to rule out the Browns as a trade partner or a place that Jimmy could end up if he got caught. I think when you sign someone like Josh Rosen, again, you're probably looking at close to, if not a league minimum deal. So it's not hard to walk away from. It would be like if the Niners had an opportunity to upgrade their backup quarterback over Nate Sudfeld. Would they eat some cost in doing so? Yes. But I think if they had a legitimate opportunity that they valued, they would take it and they would eat that $1 million that then becomes dead money if Josh Rosen isn't on the active 53-man roster.
So, yeah, I mean, that would be funny to use a guy like Rosen, who was horse crap for the 49ers in his limited time, and try to, hey, how can you help me if Jimmy comes over here? I don't know if he would have signed for that, to pick his brain in that regard. But how much money do the Browns have? I didn't look at, what's their salary, right? Where they at on the cap?
For the Browns, they have like $48 million available in cap space. Now that is planned to roll over, and I think they, with the big Deshaun Watson contract, like they are planning to use that money, absolutely. But right now, they have a huge chunk of it.
Okay, so then since the money part doesn't matter, I would say the Browns are probably, considering Jimmy G. I mean, why would you? He doesn't have any other years left, and I highly doubt Jimmy has the leverage with Don Yee to say, he's only coming here if you extend him.
Right.
Like, there's no leverage to do that. So since I doubt that exists, if I was the Browns, I would go, hey, Jimmy, I'll pay you $10 million, and you just have to forfeit that, and you'll be the starting quarterback until Watson comes back.
Right.
Or you can be the starting quarterback. You can do great things with us. No matter how well you do, you're not going to be the starting quarterback the next year, but you can earn yourself a new contract and say la vie. Like, it's just a great place for you to be with. Dude, they're talented. The Browns they got talent.
Plus, even if he takes like $8 million for that gig, if he gets onto a team that has a legit shot at running into the playoffs and he believes in himself, what a better way to bet on yourself than to take less, go to a good team and show what you can do. Earn your next contract, right? You can make up if you make, I don't know, $6 million less in this one season in a quarterback contract, You could make that up easy as hell if you have one good year and some team then says, all right, Jimmy is not a joke. Jimmy was not made by Shanahan's system. Jimmy can play. I'm not saying that's what would happen, but if he believes in himself, he certainly could bet on himself in that way.
The only thing I would caution him is that division. You've got some nasty D-lines, and you got some nasty guys in that division coming after him. So that would be something where the league would be on notice if they actually saw him be able to handle that division and get into the playoffs, regardless of what happens. Other teams would be like, damn, exactly what you just said. They'd be like, you know what? Screw it. We can use that dude for 9 wins a season. Like, he may never get a damn Super Bowl, but that dude's actually that winner, the tag of winner that he has, right?
Especially if you can pay him a few million less than the top tier quarterbacks. If you can pay him on average $20 million a year, all of a sudden you got more money to build up the rest of the roster. And that is a proven way to go about it in this league. Get an above average quarterback. Maybe Jimmy isn't that or has been inconsistent in that regard, but he's close to it. If you build a strong roster around him, maybe that's the recipe for success, because there are only a handful of elite guys out there, and you can try to keep drafting one, but you can keep missing, and then you're at the bottom of the league, right? Some teams need a little bit at the top. The Browns feel like they're one of those teams. Their fans deserve a little bit of sunshine.
This is not a dark horse because no one's been talking about it, but
okay,
I have a feeling, because he's a genius and he never says anything to anybody.
Yeah.
Frickin' Belichick. I bet you he's sitting there going, gosh dang it, I had to get rid of you for a second rounder. I can now get you back for nothing. He's not gonna go and give a second rounder back to the Niners. Obviously, you have Mac Jones, but can you imagine the pressure that would put on Mac Jones? Because now you have 2 Garoppolos on their team. I mean, Mac Jones is a Garoppolo, right? So, but a guy who knows that system, McDaniels, doesn't matter that he's not there. He knows Belichick's system. Mac Jones now has him looking at him behind going, God dang, this dude's been in the Super Bowl and the NFC Championship the last 3 years. These fans, they never disliked Jimmy G. Shit, he was supposed to take over for Brady. Right. So could you imagine that guy saying, you know what, let's rewrite round 2. Niners cut you. We may be telling Don Yee, hey, Niners cut you. I'll give you X. I'm not giving the Niners anything for him. So go ahead and go to week 1 because you already know our system.
Yeah.
Mac Jones is the starter, but,
New England fans would have a party with that. National media would be all over how brilliant Belichick was. And he is. He is brilliant. I can't take that away from him. That would be that sort of next level move of getting him back for nothing after having traded him away for an asset. I'd be good with it.
Yeah, that'd be perfect, right?
Yeah.
It'd be harmless. See you later. Have a good one. Let Belichick do what he was supposed to do with you to begin with. You can't say Shanahan failed him because he tore an ACL.
No.
And got, took us to where we needed to be twice. Obviously, we're happy he's going to say la vie and we'll take Trey Lance and move forward.
Yes, we will.
But you talk about pressure on Mac at that point. Even the pressure right now on Trey, no matter what, like I know he's young and, whatever it may be, but ultimately, we were in the NFC Championship last year, and we did not get worse. We do not have a worse football team than last year, period. So for Shanahan and Lynch and the media and everybody else, the fans, the faithful, Trey has to pan out. Trey has to be good. Like you can't this year cannot be crap. You cannot have a 6-11 team or something like that unless
it would be brutal.
Unless he does a Jimmy G and gets an ACL in week 3, which nobody's rooting for here. I'm just saying.
No.
But barring something of that nature, Trey has got to be legit this year. Like, I'm not asking him to win a Super Bowl. Yes, I am. No, I'm not. Yes, I am. No, I'm not. Yes, I am. but, man, you have got to put the league on notice like Mahomes did. I don't need Mahomes numbers. I don't need 50 touchdowns, but on notice, like, damn it, this dude is up and coming, rising. Like they thought of Josh Allen, for a couple of years. Like they think of Herbert. Like that's what I want. That's what I want to see from him. I want to see, run the game plan, don't make stupid mistakes, and just, I don't care if we win by a point the entire season. Doesn't matter. But just give us optimism that every single game you're progressing, so that we can actually see the end of the tunnel with legitimacy.
Yes, I'm with you on that. If we see enough to convince us that Trey is that guy, it won't really matter what the outcome of next season is. Sure, it'd be great if the outcome was also playoffs, NFC Championship game, and we found out Trey was that guy. But if the end result of 2022 is we got our quarterback of the future, I will be a happy 49er faithful.
Because the one thing that everyone's going to put on Trey Lance if he doesn't do well is you and I agree we're going to have a top 3 defense. I'm with you. I'd put money on that. We're good.
Yes.
So if I don't care who you are, if I give you a top 3 defense, shit, a guy like Trent Dilfer and Brad Johnson can get to the damn game, right?
Right.
So to me, it's like, hey, go out there, run the ball, run the game plan. Defense is going to get you the ball more than you think. We're going to have more possessions than the other team. Just progress, get better.
Yes.
Get better. You got Robbie Gould. I mean, God, what the hell else do you need? You got a great kicker, great defense. Running backs don't matter. The committee is the committee. So however that plays out. And you got Shanahan calling plays. You got DeMeco Ryans, defensive coordinator. We've got a much better, special teams.
Fired up here, Sean.
But I'm saying it's fact, though, right? Like, I'm not even like throwing shit in the air. Like,
no, those are legitimate facts about this team that should give everyone optimism.
Yeah. So it's like, hey, we drafted you a receiver. So let's think about what they do for him. We draft your receiver. Oh, you have the first 99 tackle in history as your blind side. I mean, McGlinchey and all that. Like, dude, let them just be average and let Trey be mobile. And Shanahan will scheme around the problems. That's what he does.
He has the ability to do that.
Yeah, use Juice as a blocker when you need to. If you need to call a play where we got to go 40 yards, perfect. Let Kittle come in and do what he does. Let Warner do what he does. Let Dwelly do what they do. Like, Shanahan's going to have a plan to be able to draw up plays to where I don't know who was earlier that was on here, or Bullpup 33. So what he's talking about, or maybe it was a super chat, but talking about how the defenses aren't going to be able to play up on us.
Right.
Well, if Trey can hit the bombs, which is all anybody's ever seen him do. No one's seen him smash immediate game. It's either bomb or run on 4th down or run and run and run, right? If he can sit there and put fear in the defense to know that, hey, I'm going to go deep if you open it up deep, because that's what teams did on us the last few years, but I'll do it. So if you want me to do it, I'm going to do it. But if he's successful in doing that and those linebackers have to play in that second, third, Shanahan's game plan is going to go bonkers. That's what happened in Atlanta.
Run game goes off.
That's what happened with Matt Ryan in Atlanta. If you watch those games with Atlanta, throughout the year, that's how they got up on New England in the Super Bowl, minus the pick 6 that helped them as well. But that's how they got up. You had Freeman and whoever the other dude was doing what they do. You had all the linebackers on New England backpedaling because you had Julio. Was it Roddy White? I don't know. Whoever the other second guy was, they pick your poison. I'm either going to hit you here, I'm going to hit you here, and we have speed. So if he can just give that threat to the defense consistently, and with all the things I labeled out that we have, I mean, good Lord, like Trey, Bud, just if you get nervous, just call a running play and hand that shit off. Like, just don't lose the game,
Yes. Yeah. No, I'm excited for it. And I think there are a lot of reasons for optimism. I do also have to call out, Sean, that what you have been spitting, these facts that people appreciate, has made it tough for CJ Gray. He's next up, and he's wondering how he's going to follow up what it is you brought to the table here. I love it, man. Any closing thoughts? I'm going to get down to CJ. I'm going to get down. I see William Bennett is now down there as well. We're getting to those gentlemen before we wrap up. Got the heart out at 6:30. Any closing thoughts on the Niners? Last of the dead era. Next time we speak, the Niners will be practicing. It'll be training camp.
No. I mean, there was nothing catastrophic during the dead area. No 49er was in the news for having guns or doing anything dumb or crack or arresting or whatever. So that's positive. Hopefully they're all working as hard as they appear to when you see the videos that come out.
Sure.
And man, just figure out freaking Debo. I'm tired of that whole lingering situation. Yeah. Just do what we need to do there. Otherwise, that is one thing that I can say of all the positives that I did. That's one thing that could hang over and linger, is if we have an attitude or someone of that nature, especially when Debo just, he saw another Kyler Murray go and get his money. And which I think they were psycho to do that, but who cares?
I do too.
Oh my God. Did you not watch playoffs? What are we doing? I mean, damn, the playoff game, right? Like that, you paid a guy after that. That's how your end season ended?
I watched that. That was ugly. All right, Sean.
Anyway,
man, I
cool.
appreciate the call. As always, a pleasure chatting with you, my friend.
Yes, sir. See you next week, buddy.
All right. Take care, brother. All right. We are bringing CJ Gray into the program. CJ, man, how you doing?
What's going on, Rob? Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Audio sounds good, my friend. It is tough to follow up Sean. He's got a very great way about him. You know, he's bringing facts to the table. I could see that being tough, but don't discount yourself, man. You are always bringing facts to the table as well. So I know this is going to be a good one. What is on your mind? Are you thinking about Jimmy? Are you thinking about Trey? Or do you have something else in mind?
Well, I want to start with, man, somebody put a hilarious comment in the chat before I got on here talking about when you throw a backwards pass, you're done. They were talking about Jimmy and Green Bay game, man. He threw it backwards, yo. I don't think I ever seen nothing like that before, man. That's up there with the butt fumble from Mark Sanchez, yo.
Yeah, pretty bad. Pretty bad.
I'm afraid to see it, man. But what's got on my mind is Debo's about to get paid. I mean,
yes.
It's happening. That video coming out. He is in the Bay Area. He's grinding. He's training hard. This looks like a guy that's about to get paid.
It does. You don't come to town a week early unless you've got business to handle. My expectation is that business is signing his name on the dotted line for a bunch of freaking money.
And so how often do we get to believe in the national media and what they're selling us? I mean, how many times have they sold us something to be right? Like they told us all off season, Jimmy's staying, Trey's not the guy, right. Trey not the guy. And then we've been saying locally, man, Trey looks like it looks like he's the guy. Now several months later,
it's pretty clear.
National media, Trey is the guy. So I don't know, man.
They finally catch up. It's like last season when they were talking about who we were going to draft. The national media was all over Mac Jones, right? And then all of a sudden it comes out Trey Lance.
And let's be serious about the Mac Jones thing. If you're looking to replace Jimmy, why on earth would you do that with Mac Jones? It's like a double ganger. It's like Spider-Man and stuff like this. You know,
totally. Look, and you gave up so much to get like a younger version of the same dude. Like that would seem sort of crazy to do that.
They were the same number. I mean, this is just. But the serious thing is that I wanted to get to, since we are leading into training camp, is looking at our four positions outside of the quarterback that we're evaluating. I think personally Trey's going to be fine just because he's got Kyle Shanahan. I mean, he made Matt Schaub look good. He made Jimmy Garoppolo look good. And he made Robert Griffin III look good.
He did.
I mean, are these world beaters exactly? Are these top echelon quarterbacks? I mean, Matt Ryan is a good quarterback. Yeah. But under Kyle Shanahan, he's an MVP quarterback. I mean, so I think Trey.
He has shown the ability to maximize the talents of almost all those quarterbacks that you mentioned. I mean, you could make an argument for Robert Griffin III that the injury derailed his career and he could have been something special, and I wouldn't dispute that argument, but certainly you can say he had his best season underneath Kyle Shanahan, and that's true of all those quarterbacks you just listed.
And so now moving along to the other four positions of concern, you got the left guard, Aaron Banks. You got the center, Brendel. And then who is y'all running back to? Because we are going to either need a running back by committee, or we're going to need somebody to take on the bell cow role when Mitchell gets hurt. I mean, Mitchell's going to get hurt.
Certainly didn't look like he was capable of getting through a 17-game season with as many injuries as he had last year. Got nicked up pretty consistently being the bell cow.
So we need a second guy. We need somebody to step up. I think that's gonna surprisingly. I don't know. I want to say Trey Sermon steps up because he's got a lot to prove this season. Yeah. Because if he doesn't step up, either A, he's going to be the second running back, or B, he might not be on the roster or might not even play anymore.
Yeah,
And,
it's entirely. I mean, I hesitate to think that they'll cut him this early in his career, but a trade, like if you could save some face and say, hey, he wasn't the right fit for us. We acknowledge that early, but we got something back in return. Even if it's a late round draft pick, it would save some face. I don't see a hard cut, but it's also such a deep roster. You cannot just put him on the team because he was a high draft pick. He has to earn his spot.
Absolutely. And then the fourth person, if you can take a guess, is the strong safety. That makes sense. That's Afanga. That's Huff, because I mean, I understand he's instinctual. He does all the intangibles. He works real hard. The teammates love him, but he's slow. And I don't know. I don't know how much the instincts and how much the speed of the game and all that other stuff and being instinctual and all that other stuff is going to make up for his lack of speed and lack of movement.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely it would not be known as a burner, right? And if you can't take fantastic angles, then a lack of speed is going to catch up with you especially when you're playing safety. Certainly, an understanding of scheme, an understanding of angles, being instinctual, all of those things could play to his benefit, but he would really need to be able to balance out that one trait that he seems to be missing. And doesn't seem like one that you get later on, right? You either have it or you don't. You could get a little bit faster, but that's mainly in like training for the 40. It's not actual game speed. Like your game speed is pretty much your game speed.
And I mean, throughout time, we've seen athletes be able to overcome the measurables from the combine and be good players. I guess it's a coaching thing. And I think last year was glaring because you had the safeties had to be more involved in the coverage game because simply the corners weren't that good. And so you ask a lot of Tart and Ward or Fonga and Ward when it was a Fonga and Ward. And so if you got better corners and you could call some more man-to-man stuff and have him be in a floating zone type situation and not get exposed being one-on-one on somebody, burning them like Thielen did last year is what kind of sticks in my mind because he got cooked in that situation.
When you look at those four, left guard, center, running back 2, and strong safety, which one worries you the most? Which one do you lose the most sleep over?
I think I lose the most sleep over the safety spot, to be honest with you. Because it's just because the RB2, there's quite a few bodies to fill that role. I'm just curious who is it going to be, who's going to actually step up. But I just think there's options there. But at safety, there really is no options. We kind of left ourselves hanging by letting Tart go, and it doesn't look like. I mean, you got Javarius Moore, who's always in the wrong position. You got another guy that we signed from Indy. I can't remember his name.
George
Odom. He's a special teams guy. And then you got Leon O'Neal, who he puffs his chest out real hard, man. But you was at that combine. I believe it was you that was commenting on his combine. So about how
I loved his attitude. His demeanor at the podium was phenomenal. I mean, it was really great. But then he was right next to Jalen Petrie and running those drills, and it was just night and day. Silky smooth versus tight hips. Like it did not look the same.
And so I just think that he's probably going to get cut. I think probably you might look at Dante Johnson. He will definitely be
a backup of some sort because of how many positions he can play. No doubt about it.
I think he's probably a good, strong candidate for safety if they run out of corner spots.
You may be right.
But that safety spot, it kind of worries me because I think Tart gets a small deal based on the NFC Championship game. It's almost like Buckner from the '86 Red Sox or something like that.
Very Buckner, what a reference.
Yeah, that's what it kind of reminds me of. It's like it's infamous. Like it was like a punt in the air, and I was sitting next to my dad, and when he dropped it on the ground, I was standing at the time. I fell on the ground and I was banging the floor because I knew that we gave this, that was given the game. I understand that there was more football after that, but that is moment killer.
It was huge. I mean, I'm not saying it would have necessarily changed the outcome, but it would have changed the game somehow, some way, and could have very well changed the outcome. I was right there in the corner of the end zone there in SoFi. That was my corner, and I was distraught as well, dude. That was just that was tough to stomach.
I said, it's over. We lost. I said it right to him, right when he did it. And
it felt kind of like the sideline felt that way too. Like that was sort of the air coming out of the team in that moment, not just the fans, but it felt like the team felt that too.
And so I get his solid play, and that play overlooks the solid play that he had throughout his tenure with us. But when you are in that moment, and if that is the moment to be had, and you don't do it, it's one of those things where when this game is played back throughout history, it's going to be a focal point. And it's unfortunate.
Yeah, absolutely. They will highlight that missed interception, that missed opportunity. CJ, great call. I got a few down in the waiting room. I'm going to try to get 5 minutes to each of the three that are down there, but I got to be out at 6:30, so I got to keep the next call short. CJ, always enjoy our interactions, though, dude. I hope that we get on next week when we have actual film to go down. And I got to give you a shout out. Someone called it out, too. You got a hell of a setup there, dude. All those monitors. I'm liking the desk setup. If I could turn it around, I would show you I'm rocking a similar sort of thing here. I respect it.
All right. I appreciate it, Rob.
Hey, CJ, good to see you, my friend.
All right.
All right. Take care. All right. We're bringing William Bennett into the stream. Just got to get to the super chats. Chris Royal coming in to say, Rob, I just want to say you are the man. I appreciate the platform that you built and are gracious to share with us. Truly grateful for you, man. I'm truly grateful for you as well, Chris, and all of the sneakerheads and all of the people that watch this program, all of the people that comment in the chat. Couldn't do this without you. Wouldn't do this without all of you. It wouldn't feel the same. Like it just wouldn't be the vibe that I get from this channel. And that's because of people like yourself. Chris coming back in, a lot going on here. I'll be on next week. Yeah, we got to get to these last three callers. We got to keep it short, which I hate to do, but we're bringing William into the stream. William, how you doing, my man? Cheers. Welcome, sir. Welcome. Happy Thursday to you. How are you doing first and foremost?
I'm doing well. A little tired. Had just came from football practice. You know, it's starting to be that, conditioning time. So
it's that time of year, huh? In conditioning, do they still do two-a-days, or is that a thing of the past?
Well, I coach in league, not actual school. So it's just, just afternoons, like 6 to 8. Of course, voluntary. But it was hot today.
Yes. Yeah. So what's going on with the 49ers that has your interest in the last waning moments of this dead period? Like, what are these last couple of things that you're focused on right before we get some fresh film? We get some fresh looks at what the Niners are doing.
Right now, to be honest, I'm just ready for football.
Yeah,
it's been a hard out. Thanks, Chris. It's been a hard out, after the Super Bowl, and you have to suffer through so much.
Yeah.
It just is how do they say it for Christmas? The most what was it? The most exciting time of the year.
The most wonderful time of the year.
The most wonderful time of the year.
Hey, beginning of the season, everybody's got Super Bowl aspirations. Everybody's back to 0-0, right? Everybody's got that chance to hoist the Lombardi at the end of the season. I happen to think our chances are better than most of their chances, but everybody gets that optimism at this time of year.
I'll say, if anything concerns me, it's like I said, getting the Debo deal done. I'm not even worried about it. Debo's gonna get paid.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Trey Lance, I'm wishing all the best for him, but I think Trey Lance is better than Jimmy, and if he can just be a step better than Jimmy, we're in good hands.
Even if he just is the same as Jimmy, right? Even if he just puts out the same level of output as Jimmy, I would take that in a heartbeat, because I do agree with Sean 951 Niners that this team has gotten better. Sure, there are some question marks that still need to be answered, but fundamentally speaking, I believe they have gotten better. So if Trey can do what Jimmy was able to do last year, I predict that we could find ourselves in an NFC championship again.
To be honest, I couldn't see Trey being the same as Jimmy. He just have he just have that extra tool that's in his shed that Jimmy just don't have anymore.
Yeah. Or maybe never had.
I think things are gonna pan out. I think things will work out. I think Trey will develop. I'm not looking for Trey to be Super Bowl. It would be great to have Trey as this in the Super Bowl, but if he can just get to the playoffs and show them, hey, I'm here.
Yeah.
And the team, I believe, can really finally jump on Trey back and say, yeah, this is what we got.
That's a great point. I do want to hear, like, once the locker room is Trey's, I want to hear all that praise from his teammates, because it's coming. Like, they have seen him in practice. They have been wowed by what he can do, and eventually they will feel as if they can share all of that, and some of that enthusiasm will come through to us. I'm excited for that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm hoping the center position works out. I think Shanahan and them, I'm hoping that despite anything, that they have a backup plan, or they have a plan that they just haven't revealed to us.
Yeah.
But I think everything will work out. I think the thing that eats at us as faithfuls are, we know that we have a great team. It's easy to know when your team isn't that great. So really, you don't go into the season with any kind of aspirations. But it's hard to be a Niners fan.
Yeah.
See what I'm saying? It's hard because you know the level. You have the story franchise.
Yep.
Your bar is set high, and
real high,
and you expect much. You know what I'm saying? So it's, I'm just ready to get the season started. I'm ready to shut those people up that don't even feel Trey is good enough to even be a Jimmy. I think we have a nice team that will back Trey up. Like I said, we will really know the true test of Trey when about what I say that like week 5, week 6 game, when we really see like the Rams, or we really see the Chiefs. Even though I don't think Chiefs Super Bowl window is high.
Yeah.
But just the comparison to see what Trey can do with them against the starting team, and Trey actually having a training camp of starting with the ones.
Yes, that's going to be so valuable for him. And I think he is going to show that he belongs in the conversation with some of these special quarterbacks that are out there. I hate to do it, William, because you and I could keep going, but I got to try to get down to Swanee and Jaguar before I get out in 6 minutes. But I wondered if you'd help me, because I see CJ Gray came in to say his birthday is this Saturday, and then Amp the Carolina Niner comes in to say, damn, we share the same birthday. So we got 2 fans coming up on a birthday Saturday. William, I was hoping you and I could send them out with a happy birthday cheers, because I know you got that mug there handy. Cheers to both of them.
Table.
Yes. Happy birthday in advance. William, we'll make sure to get more time next week when we're talking actual football. But I'm excited like you. Trey is going to light it up, and we finally get to see it, my friend.
All right, sir. You have a good one, and have a good weekend, faithful.
Thank you. And you as well, William. Stay out of that heat, man. I will talk to you next week.
All right. Peace out.
Later, my man. All right, we're bringing in Swanee. Swanee coming in as Swanee D, Eddie D's cousin, Swanee D. Swanee, how you doing, man? We only got a couple of minutes, but I wanted to get to you.
I tried to thank you. I came late. Sorry about that. So I was on the Little Birdie today, and I saw some, a tweet about, keeping Jimmy G as the backup quarterback at $26 million or whatever it is. I don't know, Rob. I have a question for you. Do you get fire insurance? Do you have fire insurance?
Do I have fire insurance? Yeah. I do.
Okay. How about earthquake insurance?
I do. I do
you have earthquake insurance. Wow. Okay. Tornado insurance. You do not have
tornado insurance and no flood insurance. And I do live in Portland.
Okay. So, getting Jimmy G would be like getting tornado insurance in Washington. Yes. Would it help you if you had a tornado come through? Yes. You'd be really sad if you didn't have tornado insurance. But it doesn't mean you're gonna buy it, right? But I'm gonna go with another thing. You ever heard of Zeno's paradox?
No idea. Okay.
So to me, a successful season, right, is when the Niners get a 6th Super Bowl. Not a 5.1 Super Bowl, not 5.2 Super Bowls, right? Because
so NFC championship games don't count.
NFC championship games are fun, but at the end of the day, they do not count.
This really sounds like Eddie D talking right now. I could see Eddie saying these things.
If you go halfway, say you need to go to a door that's 30 feet away, and you take half of that distance every year you go half the way. So you're getting close to that door. And you go half, the next year it's half of that distance, and then half of that distance. Well, you know what? You never get to that door.
Never. It would just get closer.
It's not about playoff participation trophies. Yes, they're fun. They give you hope when you're at it. But at the end of the day, it's not a 6th championship. And I will end with this. When I fought hard. I fought hard to keep Joe with the team, even though Bill wanted to go with the young guy. I had my mother fed Joe Montana. And we're talking about Jimmy G. He's only gotten us playoff participation trophies twice. We've tried it for 5 years. It's time. It's done. There's no
time to move on.
It's time to move on. There is no backup. No one operates in this type of environment.
You heard it here first. Eddie D / Swan Song letting you know it's time to move on.
Thanks, Rob. And this
You're very welcome.
He's going to be great.
Swanee, always a pleasure, man. We will definitely wrap a little bit longer next week when we have the time, my friend.
Right on. Take care.
Hey, you take care as well. All right, we are closing out with Jaguayo 56. I love all the comments as well coming in here. Dan Rostek coming in. It shouldn't be this hard to walk away from Jimmy. It really shouldn't. It shouldn't have been this difficult. We're closing out with Jaguayo 56. Welcome to the stream. How are you doing today?
Doing well, Rob. How about yourself?
Doing very well. Enjoying this series of call-ins. We started out a little bit slower because I know we had some competition with other programs going on, but we've been ramping this thing up, and now we had to close out on some tight calls, man.
Yeah, so I won't take too much of your time. I understand. I just want to get some a couple of things for you to think about. Think about this. The Packers, I think, are regressing a little bit because they don't have Adams.
That's a fair statement. Devontae Adams went to the same high school I did. Got to plug Palo Alto High School. He hails from East Palo Alto. I was from Palo Alto. But Devontae Adams, a stud, not there anymore.
The other thing is the Bucs. They lost a couple of linemen.
They did.
So that might be a little bit of a concern. I know they have a good organization, but either way, that's positive for us. The other thing is the Rams, they lost their longtime tackle, and they lost Von Miller. I know they got Wagner, but either way, I'm looking for a little bit of to be able to gain on them a little bit.
Yes, I think you're right. All three of those teams seem vulnerable.
And the last thing I wanted to say was how I'm encouraged on McGlinchey. I saw that interview with Brad.
That was great.
And he sounds good. He sounds like he's ready to go. He sounds like he wants to come back, and that is going to be a great step if we can get some stability on that right hand side, and then the other thing is, of course, the left guard position and the center. But other than that, I'm ready to go. I'm fired up. Next week we're gonna have some more information on the first time when it's we got all the guys out there,
yes,
and practicing, and we're gonna see Trey, and I'm ready to go. So I just wanted to end on that again, and I just want to hope that you and your family stay blessed, and let's go Niners, let's go Faithful, and I will talk to you hopefully next week.
Most definitely. This was a fantastic call to close out on. I thank you so much for wishing me and my family the best. I wish you and your family the best as well. I look forward to connecting next week. I can't wait to have actual footage of Niners out there on the practice field. I'm fired up. You got me even more fired up. Thank you for the call today. I look forward to doing it again, my friend.
You have a good evening, Rob.
Thank you. You as well.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Awesome. Love the interaction on this program. Love all of you that are a part of it. Those that are in the chat. It fires me up to watch the chat going, to watch people chatting with one another, having dialogues in there, throwing in, go Giants, putting in Raphael 5629ers. Great show, Rob. And call in from the Sneakerheads. I saw Luke Luna popping in there. I'm absolutely loving the enthusiasm. I do have to go. I have my heart out at 6:31. I'll be back on tomorrow, hopefully right around 4 p.m. with Jack Hammer on the program. Until then, cheers, faithful.